Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this spring we have been working our way through Volvo's entire lineup. And well, this week we've landed on one that Emily and I have liked for quite a while. This is the 2024 Volvo XC40 Recharge Single Ultimate. For 2024, you no longer have to get the 400 horsepower all-wheel drive 250-ish mile range XC40 because now you can opt for this base model single motor rear-wheel drive only car, which actually has more range than the higher priced all-wheel drive car. This car gets close to 300 miles, 293 to be exact. It starts around 50 grand. The Ultimate here that we have in front of us, which what color do you think this is, if you had to guess?
Gray.
Yes, but what do you think they call it?
I don't know.
No. Vapor gray, they call this. Anyways, this one as spec'd is $59,995. I sound like a used car salesman. Today we're going to show you what it's like to live with this thing. We've got a couple of errands to run, and we figured that this would be the perfect companion to do the routine errand, whatever. Interesting. I've always liked the XC40 because it kind of brings back the funkiness of old boxy Volvos, and obviously it kind of does it in its own way with this little bit of futuristicness to it, especially with this now being a full EV. And you can also have an XC40 in mild hybrid form, in essentially ICE, non-plug-in hybrid. That car's about $10,000 less than this. So if you don't care about being in the EV world, you are able to opt for that, and it starts around 40 grand. But with this XC40 Recharge, it's a little bit confusing. What does that mean in Volvo language? Because traditionally Recharge Volvos are plug-in hybrids, but this one is a full EV. So when you hear XC40 Recharge, that means that this is a full electric car. But if you hear S60 or XC60 or V60 or XC90 or S90, whatever Recharge, that means that it's a plug-in hybrid. So it's a little bit confusing, especially when you start bringing things like Polestar into the equation and some of Volvo's new EVs. I think that they're kind of just in this transitionary point right now where they're figuring out what they want to do as far as naming goes. But anyways, let's show you around this XC40, and then we'll take it out on the road and we'll see what it's like to live with this thing. I've put about 100 miles on it this week. I've been out of town, so I haven't driven it as much as I usually drive the cars, but I've gotten a pretty good feel for it, and still a pretty big fan of this platform. Would you like to see the main reason I wanted to take this on a living with video?
Absolutely.
What is my number one most hated thing
Things rolling around in the trunk?
That's right. So this has what seems to be a pretty clever solution for that. So it has this tray back here. The electric motor in this car is mounted in the rear, so things do sit up a little bit high. But you can fold this like that, and it has little shopping bag hangers.
That is convenient.
So not only do you have this little cubby down here, which does house the toolkit, but I suppose you could ditch that if you wanted and have more storage for other things, but you can actually hang your shopping bags from this little cargo cover thing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that folds, and then you actually have even more storage underneath it if you need to place a couple of small items. These rear seats go down as well, and with them folded down, you have a pretty flat load surface, though as I mentioned, it is somewhat high, but you're able to load in, I would say, quite a few things in there. It makes it look smaller because this is in, but practical. My assistant will fold that side up. Heavy? No, good. Oh, this side's heavier. Put those headrests back up. This single motor XC40 Recharge makes 248 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. So it is a little bit zippy, I suppose you could say. It's definitely not fast, but it gets the job done as far as EVs go. And I kind of feel like this power level makes sense for a car like this because the dual motor 400 horsepower car is extremely fast, and my cousin Michelle actually drives an XC40 Recharge all-wheel drive thing, and I was a little bit concerned for her when she bought it because we drove one a couple of years ago, and I was like, this thing is seriously quick. So it's nice that they have a bit more of a utilitarian, usable version now. Let's check out the back seat in the XC40, which I'll let you, you go around to the other side and sit behind your seating position, and then I'll jump in behind myself. I'm 5'11". Sat behind my driving position here. You can see
our seats are actually identical.
Yeah, they are pretty close. and pretty good amount of room in here. So Emily owns a CX-30.
I do.
We had this parked in the garage next to it, and I didn't realize that this is actually a little bit bigger in like pretty much every dimension.
Yeah.
Sits up a bit taller. You can see we've got a really nice amount of headroom in the back. Legroom is pretty good as well. No real issues with room back here. You don't get a ton of amenities. You've got some vents in the middle that you can aim at yourself. You've got heated rear seats. You have a little pull down console with some cup holders, but that's about it. But you have to remember that this is a compact SUV, or subcompact SUV rather, so you don't usually get a ton of stuff. You've got nets on the back of both seats, which I've noticed lately a lot of companies are only putting the map little storage nets on the back of the passenger seat.
I've seen that.
Volvo does not cheap out on that. They give you both. That's why we love Volvo. You do get a frunk with this car, since the engine, or electric motor rather, is mounted in the rear. I did not hear you come up behind me. You just scared me a little bit. Let's open this up. We have hood struts, and under here is a whole lot of nothing at first. It's so funny to open the hood of a car and just see nothingness, and then you have this little compartment here in the middle, which doesn't hold much, but you are able to fit your level 2 charger in this car, which will charge it up all the way overnight if you're charging at home. And if you go out in public and you're charging with level 3, it'll charge from 10 to 80% in under half an hour. Nice. So you're able to kind of stop, get lunch, whatever, do your thing, and the car will be charged by the time you're done. A little fill spot for your washer fluid right there. I find it funny that they VIN stamp the bumpers on these cars now. That's so funny. But I guess you'll know that way if your car has ever been in a front end collision, because you won't have this little stamp. Shall we leave the church parking lot?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Ultimate trim of this XC40 gets you a handful of nice options. It gets you this pana roof that I showed you while we were in the back seat. It gets you the Harman Kardon sound system. It gets you the crystal shift knob. It gets you automatic high beams and a number of other driver aids, the pilot assist in this car, and some other odds and ends. But I always feel like going with the ultimate trim on Volvos is usually worth it, because it isn't a whole lot more expensive than the mid-grade, and it just gets you all of the things that you need and all of the things that make Volvos special, in my opinion. These wool blend seats, we've had these in the past couple of cars, and they are a nice cloth. A lot of people, I feel like, associate cloth with kind of junky base model cars, but this is a really nice, I wouldn't really call it soft, but what'd you just say? High quality. I thought you said sturdy, but it does feel really nice. It feels like it'll withstand the test of time. Is that how you say that? It feels like it'll last for a while. Leg adjustment, manual, little crumb collector thing like a BMW. But overall, everything in here, I mean, it's pretty typical Volvo. Everything is very simply laid out. But I feel like Volvo does this whole simplicity thing really well. It's not a frustrating level of simple in this car. We've got wired Apple CarPlay on this infotainment. Otherwise, it works the same as any other Volvo. Big volume knob down at the bottom. And the XC40 actually has good places to put things, which we don't see in a lot of the other Volvos. The XC40 has a very nicely sized center console. It has this little trap door, which I've been using to put my phone in, but Emily seems to think it's a trash can.
Yeah, I think you could put a little baggie in there.
You could. Also because this little piece pops out. Yeah.
Oh, it's totally a trash can then.
Is it a trash can?
That's a trash can.
I guess you could take it out completely and use it for more storage, but yeah.
That is a trash can.
Okay, so you got a trash can, a little car trash. Also can use as a phone holder. And 2 cup holders, and you've got a wireless charger down here with some additional storage on either side. So as far as storage solutions go, this is one of the best Volvos, and it's funny because this is the smallest SUV that Volvo makes. We have this really cool, like, angular backlit trim. You can actually see it starting to light up right now as it clouds over and gets somewhat dark, and that adds a nice little flare to this interior as well. Nothing really over the top as far as materials go. We've got kind of like this rubber on top of the dash. The door panels are kind of just all one solid color, so nothing that really blows you away. We still have really good vent placement in here. What we don't have is a start-stop button. This Volvo XC40 Recharge simply goes away when you put it into driver. It sets off. You don't have to turn it on or off. It's kind of like a Tesla in that way, where you don't have to go through the bother of having to use the little start-stop switch. So you just put your seatbelt on, put it in gear, and it comes to life. This car has the Android Automotive System, so we have Google Map on the cluster. We also have built-in Google Maps, of course, here on the infotainment screen. And this has the Harman Kardon sound system. We've got some adjustment for that. Obviously not as much as you would get for a Bowers & Wilkins system. Okay, let's put it into drive. And let's set off. This is my favorite kind of EV because they haven't tried too hard to make it gimmicky. There are no artificial driving noises. There's no weird simulated pumped in sound, of course, when you're driving. And I like that about this car. I like that Volvo still retains their kind of class and their brand image through these EVs. And what I love even more about this car is it's not a bespoke model. I mean, this still has all of the functionality of an XC40, and you don't have to go out and get something completely different. Although now I think they're replacing this with a car that is bespoke, but right now in 2024, I like that this is still, at the end of the day, an XC40.
Isn't it called like the EX30?
EX30, yeah. Which I think is actually a little bit smaller than this, so it may not be replacing it.
It looked a bit
It looks small, yeah. I saw one in person at the Mama Rally, and it looked pretty tiny. But I didn't get the chance to drive it. Fantastic dynamics, super light steering. It takes very low effort to drive this car well. There's nothing that you have to overthink. The steering is so nicely tuned. It's so light. The ride is nice in this car. There are a few little interior rattles here and there, but overall seems to be pretty well put together. There are only 2 drive modes, and really there's only 1 drive mode because it's standard and off-road. And unless you're doing some off-roading, going down a trail to a campsite or something, you're not going to want to use that off-road drive mode. Otherwise, you can set your steering feel to firm or light. I always keep mine in light because that's one of my favorite things about Volvos is the light steering. And then you can mess with your one-pedal driving, which again, I always leave on, and that is calibrated super nicely here in this XC40. Let's get this merged on. I mentioned earlier, it's not blow your face off fast, but it's plenty of power to confidently merge onto the highway. And that's all that these cars should ever be. I fear so much that all of these people that are buying EVs that are so ridiculously fast are just gonna like crash and die with like these insane like 600 horsepower SUVs that everybody's been making. This is the power level that these cars should be. See, plenty of power here, half throttle, can get around that Prius. Once you're cruising on the highway, pretty well insulated. There's really not a lot of wind noise in this. In fact, I would say that this has less wind noise and less road noise than the XC60 that we were driving a couple of weeks ago. I'll show you this pilot assist. Okay, there you go. There's pilot assist. Now we're getting off. Ooh, and we can try out some handling. We've got some, yeah, we did. We've got just like some Pirelli all-season tires on here. But with the low center of gravity of this thing,
Oh my god.
isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
Not only does it have fantastic grip from these Pirellis, which is shocking, there's minimal body roll. This thing feels tight, and with the light steering, I think people often have the misconception that heavy steering is always what you want for a good steering feel, but heavy steering and steering feel do not go hand in hand. And the light steering feel on this car, you do still have enough feel from this rack to understand where that front end is. Sorry, I'm shaking you around over there. Ooh, this has the washer fluid that comes right out of the wiper blades.
My car does that.
Oh, does it?
It
Nice. Yeah, so actually, that reminds me. I wanted to kind of get your perspective from a CX-30 owner. Comparison as far as like placeability of this car and interior space, places to put things. Like, would you like? How does this compare to the CX-30?
It definitely sits a little bit higher.
Okay.
I feel like, and there's significantly more places to put things. I
Okay.
This sounds silly, but like the orientation of my cup holders,
Yeah.
the way that they sit kind of like this and up close to where all of the buttons are for the climate control. I know that these are a joke.
It's an obnoxious cup.
And it is obnoxious, but I like that it can sit far away from everything. Because in my car, I have to go around, I have to like scoop my little hand around.
Well, the main problem with that in your car is when you put the cup in the cup holder, it turns on the heated seat.
It does.
So when you put it on my side, when I'm riding with you, it turns my heated seat on.
Yeah.
So this is a nicer arrangement, and Volvo's thought of that. They know that the client base for this car, they have these big cups, and the handle is able to stick out and not turn on the heated seats.
Yeah,
so that's nice.
That is really nice.
But if you do want to turn on the heated seats, they are in the infotainment. It's more convenient actually for the passenger because it's a one-click sort of thing, and you don't have to go through a menu. For me, technically, I do have a little menu, but that's just because the ultimate trim of the XC40 gets you a heated steering wheel. It's tough because the CX-30, in my opinion, is such a good value. So your car, which is like a fully spec'd out CX-30 Turbo Premium Plus,
Has every option on it.
is $20,000 less than this car.
Yeah.
20 grand. And you know, granted, this is an EV, but even the comparable B5 or B4, whatever they call it, version of this car in ultimate trim is 50 grand. So it's like $14,000 more than your car. So it's a little bit tough to excuse this car among some of its rivals, but I understand, you know, I always argue in favor of Volvo being stealth wealth and being kind of the Brunello Cucinelli of cars as opposed to Bruno Cucinelli. Isn't that how you say it?
Bruno. You said Brunello.
Brunello. No, it's Brunello.
No, it's Bruno.
No, it's Brunello. Google it. It's Brunello Cucinelli. I will bet you on this right now.
Oh, you're right.
Am I right? Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is this car is not Gucci. This car is not Louis Vuitton. This car is not in your face. But you still get that sense of luxury in this car. And they do it in such like a low-key way, like with a little bit of crystal here, the little bit of wool blend on the seats and things. I quite like the headliner material in this car. It's kind of like the wool on the seats.
It is. It's like exactly almost.
Yeah. Goes a long way. Additionally, the frameless rearview mirror is always a look to class up the interior of a car. It's the little things. You have one of those too? It's so quiet in here.
It's so quiet.
It's so quiet.
That's one thing I remember very vividly about driving the Jeep is that we were constantly like yelling to each other when we were on the highway.
You can whisper in this thing. For context, viewers, Emily used to have a Jeep Compass when I met her. We stuck it out, went through the 3-year lease, and she's now been saved. Look at where somebody abandoned that cart. How sad. This is just one of those cars where, as an enthusiast, it's sometimes tough to drive kind of like utilitarian cars like this because they're so boring. But this car, the way it drives is just so satisfying. Like being able to navigate it around the parking lot, and it's so placeable. The visibility is great. The commanding, this is gonna sound funny, but the commanding driving position from this car with the seat all the way down, because it kind of has a blocky design, you can see the front of that hood, and everything just kind of adds up to make this a great little package. It's just it's a really likable car. I think I'm gonna leave it here. One thing I don't love about Volvos is because of the way that the infotainment screen is shaped, they aren't really able to package multiple cameras into one view. So if you want your 360 camera, you have to click on the screen to get it. The one good thing about this is once you are on the 360 camera screen, you can easily access all of your other cameras pretty quickly. The infotainment reacts very quickly as well, so you can get to all of them in a timely manner. So to exit the XC40, once you have parked, check rear seats, avoid leaving people or pets in the vehicle. Did you bring any people or pets with you?
No.
Okay. All you do, take your seatbelt off, get out of the car, and it shuts off. Shut the door. My assistant is still in the car. You can get out. Just taking a drink. Use your key fob. Click lock, it'll fold the mirrors in for you. Placeability in the spot, you've got pretty good room on either side. Okay, we're gonna go get some groceries and we'll test out the bag holders in the back.
Yes.
Yes. How often can you walk out of the store with a Hot Wheels matching your car? Especially something like this. I was so shocked when we walked in to see a Volvo XC40 Hot Wheels, so obviously I had to obtain it. We'll add it to the collection.
Yes.
Very small collection. First good thing about this car, living with it wise, and the most important, I can't believe I forgot to mention this earlier, rear proxy key. So if you're coming out of the store, you've got your hands full, you're able to just kind of reach your hand into that door handle and open the back door like so, if you want to put stuff in the back. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to put things in the trunk because I want to try out the bag holders. So we'll first see if this has like the kick. I don't know that it does. People always tell me I do this wrong on Volvos. Oh, it does have it.
Wow.
All right, will you help me in erecting the bag holder? Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see if this works as Volvo intended. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Check it out.
Lucky us.
Look at that. Okay, so
Fabulous.
plenty of room for them to dangle as well.
Yeah, as well as other groceries.
Yeah, the only thing is how kind of solid. It feels pretty solid. So when we go to Whole Foods and we put more bags, I think we can kind of wedge them in here in such a way to where
this creates a really nice little like space.
That's a good point. You've got a barrier right here.
Bag holders on the side there.
Oh my goodness, there's more.
There's more.
Oh,
This is ideal.
this is
Space.
great. Okay,
Yeah.
let's close the boot. Closes pretty quickly, actually.
Off to hole.
Off to hole. Did I show you guys the charge port earlier? I don't know that I did. I was super confused at the beginning of the week because the plug-in hybrid Volvos have the charge port on the driver's side front fender. The car has already begun. It's already started the climate control. It's got our nav screen up.
Put your seatbelt on.
A little bit different than the chime you get in other Volvos. We're sitting at a 67% charge right now, 180 miles of range indicated. Volvo claims 293 miles, like I said earlier. I charged it up to 100% and the car indicated 280 miles of range, and we have driven 80 miles today. So it's gotten pretty close. Let's set off in silence.
Oh, that was just.
Except for your phone falling.
Sorry. Actually, it's
Couple other things we should cover. Driver's compartment comfort. And this is something that I'm pretty big on. You know, I'm the elbow comfort guy. Pretty squishy center console. Would you like to attest to that?
Yeah, that's good.
It's firm, but it isn't painful. Like I don't think you would get sore resting your elbow on the center console. The door panel, not so much. It's not quite, doesn't have as much give to it. So kind of some harder surfaces for your multiple deer. What? She was motioning that she was turning. Generally, there are things in cars, though, to tell you, to be able to tell other drivers on the road that you're turning.
Maybe she was out of blinker fluid.
That's probably what it was. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
See, that's why I bring you along in these videos.
I am the brains of this operation.
There's a little bit of a driveline vibration or something when you're at full chap. It's like, you feel that?
Yes,
There's like a
yes,
minor
there's a
vibration.
vibration.
And this is not unique to Volvos. Sometimes electric cars, they kind of buzz, like they're anxious to kind of break out of their own skin when you get on throttle. I don't know what exactly causes that. Someone in the comments will tell me that I'm an idiot for not knowing, and they'll tell me what it is, so we'll have to look for that. But this one does have a little bit of that going on. Everything is just so fluid. Everything's so natural, though, with this car, and that's what I love so much about this car and about Volvos in general. Charlie brought up a good point, and I think he worded it really well in our XC60 road trip, and it's that a lot of people don't recognize Volvos as a good choice in the segment because, of course, there's BMW, there's Mercedes, there's Audi, and those German companies offer a lot of exciting cars, M3s, S4s, the AMG cars from Mercedes. But what Volvo does so well is the day-to-day stuff, the commutes, the living with. And the way Charlie put it is, if you're gonna be in a car for 95% of the time normal driving like this, you may as well not be miserable doing it. And what Volvos do so well is make you not miserable while you're driving. So, Harman Kardon in this car. Volvo does a pretty good job. Even their base sound systems are pretty good. Harman Kardon's the mid-grade, but it's the top of the line sound system for the XC40. Unfortunately, you're not able to get the Bowers & Wilkins with this car. Maybe someday we'll see it as an option, but as for now, this is the top sound system. The Bowers & Wilkins in Volvos, in my opinion, are the best sound systems on the market.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I blew without your face. Well, what can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips. Lost in the moment, all I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of the night.
Have you heard this song yet? No? It's pretty good. Pretty dang good sound system. For a car in this class, I would say that that is pretty close towards the top of the range. And what benefits this sound system as well is just how quiet this car is at speed. You're able to get a lot of that complex sound coming through, and the road noise doesn't completely drown it out. Okay, we're gonna back this thing in here. You're able to click reverse without putting your foot on the brake because of that B mode, that one pedal driving, which is nice, makes everything that much more fluid. Reverse camera is pretty high quality. Check myself with 360, and look how nicely that fits there in the spot. Putting the car into park automatically applies the parking brake, and I don't think there's any way to put the parking brake on without that, so the P simply is the parking brake. In making these videos, I get a lot of questions, and believe it or not, I do read them all. The most prominent question being, can you fit a mini watermelon in the frunk of a Volvo XC40 Recharge? Well, today we're going to find out. Let's just park this here, use our fob to unlock the car. Will you secure that from rolling? Yep. See, this is proof that if you leave the cart unattended, it will roll and be rogue. Anyways, let's open this.
Oh. I was trying to help.
I'll get it. It rained while we were gone as well. Okay, let's open this up. Now, we do have the level 2 charger in here, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think it's still going to fit. We'll just leave that there.
It's just a mini watermelon.
Oh, yes. Check it out.
Perfect.
It wasn't even a tough fit. I think you could use this for lots of things. Put hot dogs in here. There we go. All right, job done. The frunk is being utilized. That's all that really matters.
Let's not forget that in there.
I picked 3 kind of things that you don't want to let sit in a car overnight. So hopefully we don't forget those. Let's check on the target bags because those were on the hooks. They are still on the hooks. Now we can wedge these other bags in here, hopefully in such a way that they don't move around. I'm going to put this here because it'll kind of wedge into that. With the other 2 bags, I'm going to put them here. And I wonder, I don't think that these are really going to be beneficial, but if you have more like Target style bags, then you're able to use those other hooks. Thank you. Yeah, I think that works really well actually. And grocery getter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Practical.
Let's shut this. I'll take this bad boy back if you want to give yourself warmth in the car. It's a nice silhouette to walk up to. This car's looked the same since it came out, but I think it's aged really nicely, among other Volvos. We got a comment on our road trip video. It was actually one of the top comments in the 750E. And it was something along the lines of, I wish I had my own personal spraying hand sanitizer assistant.
That just comes from me being a germaphobe.
Yeah. Well, I think we've proven that the car built to get groceries, do the commute, and go exactly 293 miles, we've proved 2 of those things. Oh, we haven't proved the turning circle. Sorry. All right, well, as we merge on here, let's wrap this up. Obviously, said it a million times in the video. I think we've already done a pretty good job wrapping this up, but this car is really just a pleasure to drive. Don't think that just because this is the base car, the XC40, that it isn't any good, because that isn't the case. It does still drive like a Volvo. They do all kind of just drive the same. And for that, I would say that it's a nice choice if you can get past the price. Maybe do yourself a favor, wait a couple of years, or go and find a 2-year-old all-wheel drive 400 horsepower XC40 Recharge. That car is great as well. Bonkers fast. And it's got essentially everything that this car does otherwise.
I would have one.
You would have one. I thought you said I don't have one.
No,
and then I said yes.
I would have one.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the exact spec that I would have, but I do like the size and the shape of it.
You know what's right for this? Cloud blue.
Ah,
That's the new color. I was hoping they would send it in cloud
That
blue.
color is just
It's a
excellent.
really great color for this car. I think it brings out the lines nicely. It kind of, that cloud blue with the wool seats is really nice.
That would be
Everything's just gray. I don't know why. I mean, I don't mind the vapor gray. I think it looks nice, but
Put some pizzazz
we
back
need
in
to.
your paint.
I know we need to liven up the
Roadways.
roadways. Yeah, thank you. We finish each other's.
Sandwiches. You do finish my sandwiches.
I literally finish your sandwiches. Oh, look at this line. Should I pass them on the outside? Tracking out. Use the whole track. Getting left with the right turn signal. We'll actually use this time to properly show you guys the pilot assist. I have such trouble memorizing what all of these manufacturers call their adaptive cruise control and driver aid systems because they all have a unique name for them. But Volvo is pilot assist, so we'll turn that on. Super easy to do. You just click the cruise control button in the middle of the left-hand side of the steering wheel. And I have this set to default to pilot assist, so all I have to do is literally press this one single button and it will do that. You can toggle between your different cruise control modes, so you can just have simply adaptive cruise like this, or you can have pilot assist and that will do some of the steering for you. Doesn't let you go a terribly long time, and to be honest, Volvo's pilot assist does feel a little bit outdated just with everything else on the market being so fresh. Volvo was kind of an early adapter to this, so it doesn't let you go super long. But this one does feel nicely updated. It doesn't ping pong as much as the XC60 did that we had a couple of weeks ago. All right, guys, well, that is going to wrap it up for us today on living with the 2024 Volvo XC40 Recharge, single motor, long range, ultimate in vapor gray. I think I got it all. We'll get through this roundabout and that will wrap it up for us. If you have any questions about this car, leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. I do read all the comments. So if you want to know about watermelon fitment or anything like that, I can answer that for you. But otherwise, that's going to wrap it up for us today. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Take care.
Take care. Ah! Don't do that.
Nice.
Adequate amount of power.
Nice. Are you roasting or what?
Oh, I forgot that the watermelon and milk and hot dogs were up there.
Oh no.
We're making a smoothie out of them.
Oh, that sounds like.
I forgot I left that stuff up there. We probably should have taken that out after we did the bit for the video.
Yeah, well. It's true
We don't
test.
fake things on TOPher drives. Everything's real.
It's a
Everything
true
you see is
test.
always real.